Good day, my name is Maria Kądzielska and this is Poland Daily Culture, and today we take you for a journey to Miami and back to Warsaw because we'll talk a little bit about the cultural differences. With us is Maggie Gardner. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you for having me.
You are a Polish American, as we mentioned in the previous episode. You were raised in US, but your kids are raised right now in Poland. Tell us a little bit about the differences in approach to books or to what they are learning when they start their education. Would you see?
I think a really big difference I think I even notice it culturally just in general is that Americans are very optimistic. I think it also triggered my why I wasn't apprehensive about moving to Poland. I have this American optimism, like everything will work out, everything will be fine. Whereas I think in Poland, many people have this innate pessimism. It's just like it's all consuming and everything is very, the glass is half empty. I mean, it virtually has spilled in their eyes. I think it's very evident.
You can even say, like, when Americans ask you, like, how are you? You're supposed to just answer, oh, fine, great. But in Poland, when you ask, how are you? It's like, okay, but I have a back pain, or something is wrong with my leg, or, I'm so tired after work, or it's hard financially. You always have to mention that there is something wrong. With you going. It's not everything is fine.
Yeah, I definitely feel it. It's even when I first moved here, I would be really nice, for example, in the grocery store, like, hi, hello, talking to the cashier. And I often just get this stare from people like, this woman is insane, like, why is she talking to me? Like
what the hell do you want?
Why is she smiling at me? There must be some ulterior motive. And it's just, in the States, it's just common when you walk down the street or you just see somebody, if you make eye contact, and it's also common to make eye contact and then smile and say hello. And I think that's, it's just a little bit different. Of course, here, everywhere you go, you say dzień dobry.
But changing?
It is.
Because I hear from a lot of people who were traveling that they kind of like this nice approach, that you have contact with people around you in small things, even those who didn't. But yeah, I fully agree that at some basic level, especially I would say 10 or 15 years ago, it was definitely much more like mind your own business.
Yeah, because I think like small talk with strangers is like, I don't think that
are you a Russian spy?
What is happening? Why are they, and in the States it's very normal. And I just naturally, will just like, taking out my groceries and I just have this full on little, communication with the cashier about like why I'm so frazzled. I have 3 kids. I give her my whole little life story and she's just sitting there like, I don't know why you're telling me this information. So, but back to the optimism of Americans and how it kind of is. I see it now when I look at my son and, for example, the books that they're reading in school, in their Polish classes. His first book that he has brought home to read, it's called Pies, który jeździł koleją.
So a dog who basically on a train.
Yeah, who rode the train. And I had never read this book as a child. It wasn't.
We all have read it.
So I think that this is a difference. In the States, that's not a book that's introduced to children. We read like The 3 Little Pigs, like at this age. So I was intrigued, like, what is this book about? Because there was some discussion on the parent group that, this topic is very sad right now, especially with the war in Ukraine. So I didn't think, how sad can it be, right? So I went to read the Wikipedia page and I actually started crying just from the description of what this book was about. So, and I think it like filters in, it's like a nice way, like a foreshadowing for like essentially like Polish literature and Polish cinema. You can't have a rom-com in Poland without having some kind of dramatic event, mother dying or the dog got ran over or something.
Well, we try to be realistic.
But I know that's the difference. Like in America, if there's a rom-com, it's just so it's so sweet. It's so overly optimistic that it's
shiny, bright.
Yeah, it's not real, and we know that, but we appreciate it for what it is, for the
the moment
the unreasonable optimism that it conveys, and Polish cinema.
I know, you put it on and you're like, communism, PRL, power was abused you, state,
yes.
or trauma, death, war, World War II.
And that's the rom-coms. I mean, we're not even talking about the dramas in Poland. I've been subjected to watching them with my husband, and I have to say that I would feel like so depressed after watching them. It was so draining emotionally to watch some Polish movies. I think that maybe for most Poles it's just a normal it's good cinema, but for me, I feel so emotionally depleted that I don't want to watch them anymore. And I think that's, again, like this cultural difference. Like in the States, we prefer these overly optimistic, happy movies that will build up our experience,
approach to life.
Emotionally, just, make us happier. And then, whereas in Poland, it's like your escape to a more dramatic life. So when you come out, you're like, well, that was horrible, so I'm doing great.
Maybe that's the case. So thank you, the viewers of Poland Daily, what you've been reading as kids, or what your kids are reading currently, and how they feel after doing it. In the next episode, we'll talk more about what American kids are reading and what is the difference. So stay with us for another show.